just Chief ripping ass. Just wait.
There's got to be.
Cortana isn't naked in this though.
I change everything I said. This whole series is dog shit.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you knew this, but I'm a gamer.
Okay. Hey everybody, Joey here.
And Adam from Nostalgic.
Yeah, so today we figured we'd discuss what we've been waiting since, what was it, 2005 that they announced that they were going to do a Halo movie?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Microsoft made a big deal about it, paid some dude $1 million to pen a script, and then delivered it to every major film distributor, and all of them turned them down.
Yeah.
Because they had egregious demands. It wasn't until like 2013 that they kind of revived it as a TV show at Showtime. Then Showtime was like, we're mostly a drama network, so let's put it on this new streaming service, Paramount Plus, because that is the dystopian society we live in. Yeah, everything's a streaming service nowadays. Everything's got to be, some Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus exclusive, and I'm getting a little tired of it.
Yeah. It's all part of that push of they don't want you to own anything anymore, so you pay for the rights to watch it, and then if you no longer pay up, then you don't get to watch it anymore. That's why we always make that stand for having physical media, and I hate
forever.
The stream. Yeah.
I don't. To me, it's kind of like I forget the name of the bill, but early on in Hollywood's life, the Supreme Court determined that movie studios like Paramount and MGM and 20th Century Fox, they couldn't own movie theaters.
Yeah.
Because if they did, then they would only
this,
distribute to those movie theaters and reap 100% of the profits, and it would kill small movie theaters and everything. And I mean, it just kind of comes around to like the government seemingly not caring about monopolies anymore.
Yeah.
But that's a completely different argument. But I do think something similar is going to happen here with streaming services, because it's killing everything else.
I think people are already tired of it because they're paying for so many different services. And
because Netflix happened and it was kind of neat for a little while. And then Hulu happened. And I was like, oh, okay. Well,
now there are two of them.
And then Disney Plus came out and everything followed.
Yeah.
And now everybody only puts their shows on their network streaming service. So, and I don't know quite. So I got Paramount Plus to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pleasantly surprised by the amount of stuff they had. They had like all the classic Nickelodeon stuff, all the new Nickelodeon stuff, all the Star Trek stuff, the Indiana Jones movies, Survivor. I don't know why you'd want to watch like reruns of Survivor.
Something I haven't heard in forever.
Yeah, I don't know how really Halo reinforces that brand to me, but it's their flagship, launch title.
Yeah,
it's their big pull.
Much back in the reminiscent of the days of the original Xbox. This was the original Xbox's killer app, so hopefully Paramount was hoping to do the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's something everyone's been anticipating for years and years. So it's really cool to finally see it come to fruition, because I never expected it to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I got excited, I think it was 2012, 2013, when they announced Steven Spielberg was attached to it.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, well, now it's definitely going to get made.
And you were telling me he was super dedicated to it and stuff too, right?
Yeah,
it was a passion project for him there for a while. And
in interviews, they said he oversaw every part of the production of the show. He read every script, edited and commented on everything, was at every meeting, So this is a Spielberg production. He produced this.
So he's still involved with this show, this version of it.
Yeah, this version is what I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, it's and I feel a little bit of his touch on things, not as much as maybe I would have hoped, but I don't know. I'm not sure Spielberg would have been, my choice for a Halo movie director. I don't even know who I would have picked.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been.
Yeah, no clue. It's always touchy making video game movies or shows, and we'll get into that, how I feel about it. But
so I guess let's start with our initial reaction. I was pleasantly surprised by this. After they started releasing images and interviews and people were talking about it, and especially when they said, you're going to see Chief's face, I was like, no, we have to prevent this show from ever airing. I thought this was going to come out and be total hot garbage.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I was like, that was way better than I expected it to be. I watched it with my buddy Lewis, and he said it reminded him of, it felt like a fan film in a good way. That this is like what fans would have wanted and what they would have done. And I agree with that to an extent. But after, because when I watched it with you, it was like the third time I watched that first episode. Some more things stood out, and I didn't like it as much on the third watch. I do think it's a solid start, and I'm excited to see where they go with it.
So have you watched anything beyond? Because for background, I've only seen the first episode. My history with Halo is I played the first 3 games in Reach, never went beyond any of that.
Did you play ODST?
I played a bit. I did play ODST.
Okay.
Don't remember much of it. Don't remember much of anything of it, but I never read the books. I never considered myself a big Halo fan as far as like the lore goes. I like the games. To me, it was just, always just blasting aliens and not much need for any kind of story or lore. So,
and that's kind of, I think the appeal to Halo to me is that it has that widespread appeal. It has a large target audience because you've got people who just want to play video games and shoot shit. And you've got that. The campaigns are good for that. And the multiplayer is arguably one of the best,
spent
examples of that.
A lot of Saturday and Friday nights at friends' houses doing LAN parties on Halo 2. And it was always, so it's a place that it's a franchise that holds a special place in my heart.
I must have been 5th grade when I played Halo CE.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first M game. It wasn't the first M game I ever played. That was World War II Normandy on my dad's PC, which was, I don't know, I have fond memories for that game, but I don't want to revisit it because it's going to destroy it for me.
Yeah.
But my mom was okay with getting it. My dad was kind of pissed about it, which didn't make sense. But because he's the one who let me play World War II Normandy. So
if it has historical value, then it's okay. Yeah. But if it's...
My mom was like, it's like Star Wars. You're shooting aliens.
You're blowing their brains out of their fucking head. It's cool.
And it just sort of opened my eyes to a lot of just the wider realm of gaming. Because at that point, I'd really only had a Wii. And I played all the Lego games and Mario games and, Wii Sports and a lot of classic arcade stuff because that's what my dad enjoyed. So I had a lot of those, Namco museum games and everything.
Classic arcade stuff.
And when I got an Xbox, the first games I played were Transformers Fall of Cybertron, which is still one of my favorite games of all time, and the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games with my dad. Mm. And I'd never really played much of a first-person shooter like Halo.
Yeah.
And I played it, and I fell in love with the art style. Just the ambience of that first game is so fantastic. And my buddy Chapin and I, we played through every single one together up into Halo 4. And it was just a thing we shared. And we would finish a game in a night. And I ate everything up. I watched all, Halo Legends. I watched the Forward Unto Dawn movie.
Yeah, I've never seen any of it.
Yeah. So. I've read a couple of the books. I've read Fall of Reach and half of another one, and I read some of the comics. And that's actually what this show reminded me the most of was the Fall of Reach book.
Okay.
Which is, it's so weird because those books came out with just CE.
Mm-hmm.
And they established this lore and spread this story, but it felt so different to what Halo feels like to us now.
Yeah. That's my disconnect, I feel, with it, is like, I don't know what Halo is now. I know what Halo was, and I have an image in my head of what it was.
Yeah.
And so with the show,
it's changed a lot. But Halo Infinite kind of brought it back to the direction I think I thought it should go in. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed Halo Infinite. I know there's a lot of people who didn't. But I feel like the majority of people did like Halo Infinite. Maybe not loved it. I loved it.
That's the one where they went open world, right? Mm-hmm. And followed the trend of open worldness that everybody seems to be doing now.
It worked so well because, like, one of the most vivid memories for me and a lot of other people my age, like, what Halo is the Warthog run, and the world just sort of opens up when you come out of that cave in CE, and you have almost this open world level where you're going around trying to find these Marines, and you feel like you're on this vast alien planet. Mm-hmm. And that's such a poignant, like, memory in me and a lot of other gamers, like, minds, that I think it felt right for the series.
I can kind of agree with that, because I remember even, like, so far back as, like, Halo 2 and 3, where just some of these maps and levels you were playing were just massive.
Yeah.
And it might have been Reach was like that too.
Yeah, Reach was.
I haven't revisited them in years, so since they came out, really.
Yeah. I mean, Halo's always been that thing that I'd play and be super into, and then I'd take a break from it and just kind of have it in the back of my mind, like, yeah, I like Halo, but it doesn't define me. And then I revisit it and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever made. And I mean, I got really burnt out with, Halo 4, and then there was a bunch of comics, and I didn't keep up with any of it. And then Halo 5 was just... I guess I don't have words. Well, I watched the after show, like right before we started recording this, and in the after show for this, there's a section on, like, a sort of refresher of Halo history, and it flashed through all the games except Halo 5 was the only one missing. Yeah, Halo 5 and Halo Wars, but Wars is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I remember playing a little bit of Wars.
I need to go back through and play those, because I've played every Halo game except Halo 5.
Anytime trying to play a RTS like that on the consoles, just they're made for PC. It's just not going to translate well. So that was
because I grew up playing a lot of RTS stuff. Yeah. That's my dad's favorite kind of game. So
I'm Warcraft 2 and 3 connoisseur from back in the day.
Civ games, Civil War General, Panzer General. Yeah. So I remember getting Halo Wars and using the controller and just being like, and it's something I've always meant to come back to, because I know I'll like it, but just haven't found the time.
Feel that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, first episode only.
That's the only one that's out.
That's it. Oh, okay. I thought the whole series was available.
Nope, just the first one.
Okay, so it's just the first episode.
Yep.
Okay.
Every Thursday.
Okay, so
hopefully we'll do this every Friday if people enjoy it enough.
Yeah, exactly.
If we enjoy it enough, I don't give a shit what anybody else feels.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on that first episode?
So, like I said, I thought this was going to be like a flaming bag of dog shit.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I wasn't excited for it, but then I woke up Thursday and saw on Instagram, someone saying that they watched the first episode. I was like, oh, it's out. So leading up to this Thursday, every review I watched or read or saw was mediocre to negative.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, they're doing the Mandalorian thing again. And
doesn't help its case that it opens up with a big desert-looking planet.
Yeah.
Sci-fi just can't escape the desert planet right now, between all the Star Wars stuff coming out and, like, Dune, and it's just a trap that sci-fi's falling into.
I think Dune is the reason for that. Yeah, I mean, that's why Tatooine exists, why Star Wars exists.
Yeah.
Halo wouldn't exist without Dune. Sci-fi today, as we know it, wouldn't exist without Dune.
Very true. But yeah, just that modern.
Yeah.
It seems like we can't get out of the desert planet right now.
Yeah. The reviews were saying like it was derivative, it did nothing new, mediocre action and CG and nothing too interesting.
I can kind of agree with that.
I see where some of those criticisms came. So that was the mindset I came into the show expecting. I was expecting to watch the first episode and go and turn it off and not watch anymore. I watched the first episode and I was hooked the whole way through. It opens up. I'm glad it opened up with insurrectionists because that's something like the games never really explored.
Yeah, and that's where they had completely lost me.
The Spartans weren't made to fight the Covenant. They were made to squash insurrectionists and be these unstoppable power weapons for the UNSC.
And so when was that introduced as a concept for the series, for the books?
The books.
Okay.
So that was something that I enjoyed seeing. The Spartans are propaganda. Mm-hmm. They are tools of propaganda. And seeing that from an insurrectionist's point of view is really interesting. Yeah. I know you kind of had the complaint it's we're the baddies.
Yeah, they really just based off this first episode where, because like we were saying with minimal lore and story, the original games, it's so black and white. It's the Covenant are a genocidal race of aliens that just want to wipe out humanity, and we have to stop them. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. To me, Halo doesn't need to be anything more than that. So now, with this show and with the books, as you've told me, they introduce this element of, okay, maybe the USNC aren't, the saviors of humanity that we think they are, and they're going to, spoilers, the first episode, they get to a point where this insurrectionist girl, Quan, mm-hmm. she's going to be a problem. So they're, let's just terminate her. And then it's like, what the hell?
I mean, narratively, I think this episode works very well.
Okay.
On its own, separate from, our preconceived notions of what Halo should be. Mm-hmm. I think the story that this episode has is compelling and works really well. And I think almost all of the characters are justified in being there. Yeah. I don't think Keyes needs to be there. I don't think the general lady needed to be there. I don't remember her name. They pretty much just served the narrative purpose of I'm in charge, but I'm stupid and I'm going to ask a bunch of questions so all the scientist characters can give the answer so the audience knows.
Yeah.
And especially on my third watch through, I was just like, I was sitting like behind you and I was just like, I don't need to hear all of this. Yeah. I'm seeing all of it. And
that's with modern TV and things in general. Anytime they insult your intelligence like that and just, we know you're not going to pick up on this, so let's explain it to you.
Yeah.
That's when I always have a problem
I think
with stuff like that.
A lot of this is like, some lost in translation kind of thing of a studio being like, okay, how do we appeal to Halo fans, but also get people who are unfamiliar with the source material into it and introduce this to them, as well as this have been in development since 2005.
And being in the halfway mark,
hundreds of scripts.
Yeah, and for me being like the halfway mark between those two fields, I've neither.
You just feel alienated.
I was just the whole time we were watching it, I was trying to pinpoint where in the Halo universe timeline this actually took place, because there's no Cortana. You barely see the Covenant, and then they make mention of that they don't know what they are yet. So you have this whole plot point towards the end of the episode where Master Chief is disregarding orders and defecting from the USNC effectively. So it's like UNSC. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, I don't even know what I said.
Yeah, USNC. It was bothering me. I was waiting for you to say it again.
Shit. So you have where Master Chief's defecting. And then what we know for what happens after this with the games where he's under their command again, it's like, how are you going to get yourself out of this situation where, oh no, they're wanting to kill Quan and maybe they're not all they're cracked up to be, and the "Are we the real baddies" meme that's in everything right now that I'm getting sick of, and
I guess this was something you didn't know.
Yeah,
but that they made that really clear in a lot of the marketing and interviews, was that this is its own timeline.
Okay.
This is not connected to the games. They're taking these characters and these ideas and concepts and adapting them for a television medium, which is a very different medium from video games.
Always a great idea when you're using a pre-existing franchise.
That's sarcastic, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I agree in some cases, because there are definitely some things, like Dune doesn't work as a movie for me.
Yeah.
I was bored out of my mind the whole time I was watching it, and I know everybody I know loved it. And as someone who loves the book and hates all the other, TV adaptions and movie adaptions, watching that movie, I was like, this is just the book, like one for one. And it's paced as if it is the first half of a book. And it doesn't work. But it could have worked if there were adaptations made, changes, because Dune is a compelling story that I think you could squeeze down. You could. It would take a lot of time and dedicated effort from someone who loves Dune, which I think Denis Villeneuve, or however the hell you say his name, has that passion for Dune. But I think he had too much and just wanted to.
And then, that's always the problem, is anytime you're doing a conversion like this, is how do we squeeze its essence down into a 40-minute episode or a 75-minute film?
So I always like pointing to this example. It's not 100% applicable here, but the Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves did its own thing. Took liberties with the characters, but told a story that was so genuinely, profoundly Constantine and was so compelling and well performed that, hell, I like it just as much as I love the Hellblazer comics.
Yeah.
And I think that could have... Halo has so much appeal, and there's so much to it, and there's such a huge audience that you could have, made a just pure military show, and it would have felt right. You could have made some vast, sprawling, lore-riddled, Dune equivalent show, and it would have felt right. I thought there was so many ways, you could have gone, and they took in-between routes, which... yeah, that feels right.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just going to alienate the whole other audience. But I think I'm for adaptations because
I'm not completely opposed to them. It's trying to figure out how to do it right. Because as far as video games go, for me, it's the ultimate form of entertainment, of media. And anytime you try and take it and put it in another form, it's just going to lose some aspect of it. And I think that this show is just more example of that, where even the best you could ever do, like the Sonic movie, did pretty well. People liked it. But ultimately, it was forgettable.
Yeah.
Was what a lot of people said. And if that's the best that we can do in form, in terms of adapting video games to other medium, then... just stop already.
I think a lot of it comes just in creative misconceptions.
Yeah.
That people go to a movie to watch a movie. People go to a video game to play a video game. Narratively, they're very different. Structurally, they're totally, completely different.
Yeah.
And I feel like movies are bleeding too much into video games, and video games
very much so
are sort of, dwindling in a sense.
Yeah, this whole merging is just, because you got game developers who, this is just speculation on my part, but it seems like that's what they wanted to do, was make movies, but they weren't good enough. So they get put on video game. There's I'll fall back on this and go into video games. Then you get these big AAA titles that have 40-minute cutscenes, and just you play the game for 10 minutes and then have to sit there and listen to dialogue for 20. And it's just a back and forth of that, where it's rips you out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't think movies work as games either, and that's a big problem for me with a lot of modern day stuff. But
I mean, almost every movie adaptation video game is dog shit.
yeah, pretty much. And like even the best, like when I mentioned the Sonic movie, but the actual best probably is that original Mortal Kombat movie, and that's gotten to where that's loved, but a point of irony.
Yeah.
Which people say they like it, like it's entertaining to sit through and funny.
Yeah.
In some points, but
I'm trying to think of, in my opinion, the best video game adaptation.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd probably be it for me is the Mortal Kombat movie, that first one.
I enjoyed the recent one. It was decent.
Yeah.
You know, in the same kind of vein as that first one, but it doesn't have the nostalgia or kind of goofiness that first one had. So, like, it just feels different.
Just filled to the brim with retcons and lore changes.
Yeah.
And just,
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Mortal Kombat's a lot different to me, but that's because Mortal Kombat to me is kind of like what Halo is to you. Like, I don't know anything about the lore. I just play it every now and then with friends.
Yeah.
I mean, my answer you're not going to like.
What's that?
Castlevania.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of lore and story to Castlevania. But ultimately, the plot of Castlevania is Dracula's back, fight through his castle, kill him.
Yeah.
That's it. There's so much you can do with that. And they did something, I think, poignant and profound with that TV show. But I also understand where some longtime hardcore fans, such as yourself, felt distanced by it.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the end, you're never going to make everybody happy. That's the reality of the industry.
It's so weird to me that, like, if you're making an adaptation of that, you know, your payday, your piggy bank is going to be those original fans. And like I don't understand why they don't want to try and cater to them as much as possible, because you know that they're going to be the ones coming to your front door wanting to see it the most. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Halo.
Yeah.
So with the show, when it first starts off, you get this really beautiful shot of this insurrection camp. And like everything looks great. I like the way it looks when it first starts off.
The cinematography of this was better than I expected.
Yeah, it was like you were saying you had expectations of this being horrible going into it. I didn't even have that. I had just, oh, there's a Halo show. Okay, I'll watch it. Joe wants me to. Okay, let's check it out. And on that alone, I'm just kind of where I started. Yeah. Where it's just like I don't have any strong negative. I'm not offended as I am by other things, but I'm not like
you have no stakes in the fight.
I don't. I'm not ranting and raving about it, but it looks good. I liked some of the choices that they did because it's a first-person shooter game. Pretty much going into it, I knew that they were going to do the what year did that Doom movie come out?
I don't know. They did the Doom movie thing.
Yeah,
you go first person
with Dwayne Rock Johnson.
Yeah,
Dwayne Rock Johnson.
I forget what year.
But like it's like, okay, how are they going to? They're going to do the first person thing, and you're going to see the HUD, and it's going to look like the video game. It's going to be like, hey, this is a Halo show. Let's remember.
And what I loved about that is that every single one of those shots served a narrative purpose.
Yeah. They didn't overuse it. I thought it was used just to the perfect amount.
There was a couple times it looked a little wonky, but I think most of it was just seeing the gun just felt weird because, I mean, you can't fit a $1 million television production camera like a GoPro, you know, so you've got someone like this or it's CG, so it just looks a little off. But like ultimately, it worked really well for me. The only time that it bothered me is that there's that one scene where they're walking into the cave and the camera kind of swooshes and into the helmet.
Goes into it, yeah.
Like that's a little unnecessary, but you know, it was fine.
Yeah, so like stuff like that and the action, like the action was okay. it's where it really shined for me
Mhm.
because they used the sound effects from the games.
Yeah,
All
the
these
sound design was spectacular.
Yeah, sound design pretty damn great. That's that kind of stuff, and then finally getting to see the Covenant aliens, and so yeah, my favorite part of the whole episode was that introduction of the Covenant, where Quan and her little friends go out into the forest to find drugs, and then they're all sitting there high on drugs, and she notices the ship, and then you see him get blown apart.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. Just like
That was I was watching this and I was like, okay, like I'm intrigued, but like I don't feel any sort of any way yet.
yeah.
And then her friends just get like dismembered,
Mm-hmm.
and the one like falls over, gets her leg blown off,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
blows up. And I was like, oh, that's how this show's gonna be. Okay.
I was
And-
not expecting
yeah.
that at all. I was expecting a lot more of a because Halo when it came out was an M-rated game. There's
Yeah.
there's gruesome stuff in it.
But it was
Not
never
too terribly gruesome,
Yeah, I was
but-
expecting this to be a very PG-13 violent.
Yeah, I was expecting that
Yeah.
too, and then and
The
especially
elites
now
get ripped apart too by the Spartans.
Yeah.
Like 3 of them get their heads blown off, and there's just like the goopy blood everywhere. Oof.
Yeah, especially with like modern studios and stuff. It's like you got a group of like teenage kids like this. Like it always seems to me like they're very much against showing like that age of people dying in general, but much
Yeah.
less seeing them getting torn
Well, I
apart
mean,
by
like,
plasma guns. It's like
Watching children die is a very, very strong emotional reaction.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
a very strong narrative tool.
yeah.
And you see a Covenant elite open up the vault where all of the women and children in this village are hiding
Yeah.
and mow
And
them
just
all
mow them
down.
down.
I was expecting, like Chief to swoop in at that point and stop him, but no. And there's like a shot and you see like there's smoldering corpses. I was like,
well,
holy shit.
that was funny to me too because
It was funny to you?
What I just happened to notice was that scene after that where it shows them all dead, they're all perfectly stacked on top of each other, and I was like, how the hell did they wind up
Yeah.
like that? And I was just like, so that was funny to me,
Yeah.
and it completely ruined the whole thing for me of feeling that moment. But it's getting them like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's,
it's
like, this
very
reaction
gruesome,
shot.
which I wasn't expecting this level of that or that
like
risk.
one kid runs up against the door and is banging on it, like, let me in. And then the plasma sword cuts
Yep.
in, and you get this little kid just like,
Yeah.
with the sword goes through, that guy's chest, and he watches that guy drop. It's like,
Yeah,
that kid's scarred for life,
yeah.
but then he dies.
But then he dies.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
and then
we
the
get-
introduction of the Spartans
Mhm.
was awesome.
Yeah.
I
liked it.
Yeah, I think the action was serviceable. A lot of people were like, there wasn't enough of it, or it wasn't, it felt.
Yeah,
kind
I
of
feel there wasn't
floating.
enough of it. That's where it shined for me.
Yeah,
Because
that first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I want the just
Mhm.
gruesome action. I want
Yeah.
that. That's what I want. That's Halo to me.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see. I want to see fighting. I want to see shooting.
See, the most compelling part of Halo to me is Halsey and her relationship to the Spartans
Mhm.
and her relationship to the UNSC, namely Keys. And there's some changes made here, but feel very natural. Like Miranda here is canonically Halsey's daughter,
Okay.
which I don't think was,
Never a thing.
part of the game or in any of the books. I think that feels like a natural place to go with those characters.
Okay.
And you see some of that here. There's this scene where Halsey directly orders the Spartans to disobey the orders they're given from the UNSC.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought was so cool. And like, that's my favorite. Some of my favorite parts of Halo is the Fall of Reach book,
Mhm.
which it's okay, but it's mostly just thematically the creation of Cortana's character, Halsey as a character, just being. I didn't really like where the almost sort of evil, mean old lady they went with her,
Yeah.
which didn't feel right to me. She was this kind of like, she knew what she was doing, and you weren't going to stop her doing it, and she was going to find any way to do it. And that's really intriguing. And I think Halsey's character here feels right.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen enough of it, but I don't know who plays her in this.
Yeah.
I'll edit it in. I really liked Miranda in this. I hope we see a lot more of her, and I bet she's going to help Chief just with, she didn't want Quan to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
He's, yeah, that's something I expected to hate Quan's character. I thought I was going to hate the other Spartans. I thought I was going to hate whatever the human covenant chick is.
Yeah, that kind of
didn't make
threw me
sense
for a loop too, because
But there's something that's like when she's talking to that prophet, it's the prophet of mercy.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, she was a baby and the prophet of mercy showed her mercy and raised her as a covenant and is essentially using her as a tool to get at humanity,
kill humans,
which is interesting to me. My friend was saying, they just didn't want to make the main villain CGI, which
too many resources.
But almost every single shot in this is VFX, which I'm so happy that the Spartan suits are practical.
Yeah,
they look awesome. I
didn't know. I couldn't tell. They look so good. I thought it was
No, they're practical.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Suits. Yeah, wow, I think. I really like the designs. I didn't really like the designs of. I don't remember any other names. The other three Spartans.
Yeah.
Half the time I forget Master Chief's name is John.
Yeah.
Like they just say John, and I'm like, who? But I didn't really like their designs. A lot of the promotional art and pictures, but in action and in this show, they look really good. I do wish they weren't all just gray, but. I don't remember any of the names, but the sniper has like these big antennas on her backpack, flop around and look so cool. And the one guy has I think it's the EOD armor, with sort of the visor and these respirators here. And I love that.
But on the subject of Master Chief, that's something we haven't talked about yet, is that, they show his face. There is a face to the Chief now. I'm conflicted about it because it's like you'd think if this is something you're going to do with the show, that you might want to hold it off to be a big reveal.
Yeah.
But no, they do it, 35 minutes into the episode, 40 minutes in?
There's 10 minutes left of the episode when it happens. It's in the first episode.
So they're like, did they know everybody's just going to hate this and just rip the Band-Aid off now and do it? Or... So... This is where we get back to that conversation about video games translating
and television being very different forms of narrative. And narratively, I think it was necessary for them to take
they had to do
it
on something like this.
And I mean, it's the same kind of thing with The Mandalorian, especially in Mando season 2. It's like we've seen his face but there's narrative purpose to it. There's reason why he can't take his helmet off. And that adds conflict and compellingness. And in Book of Boba Fett, he gets cast out of the Children of the Watch because he's taken his helmet off. So it's this really important plot detail. But in here, he's just a dude. Why can't there's no reason for him to keep his helmet on. And in that moment where Quan has a gun pointed at him and he's trying to get her to trust him. Yeah. And he's having these flashbacks of a family that he doesn't remember and realizing, I'm a person. Yeah. And Quan is someone he empathizes with because her family's just been ripped from her. Yeah. She doesn't have that anymore.
Thanks to Chief. Remember.
Yeah.
Well, you killed my mom, remember.
And that's the thing. I thought that moment was really, really interesting. And you have that conversation. And that's where Chief felt the most like Chief to me in this series, besides when he was kicking Covenant ass. Yeah. Was when he says, sometimes other people know more than I do. And he's like, then you question everything. It was orders came from up top. What I was ordered to do it. And, I'm a good, good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so it's
she has this gun pointed at him. I remember when that happened, you laughed because you're like, you're not going to do anything to him. Yeah. And he says that. He's like, this is Mark 6 Mjolnir armor. This is thick ass titanium plating. you're not even going to dent it. So he takes his helmet off and says, if you want to kill me, you got to aim up here.
Yeah.
And when he does that, they also lose, these biometric readings or whatever and communication with him back at the UNSC. So it serves this double narrative purpose of, here is this character showing, I trust you.
Yeah.
You need to trust me. As well as, symbolically and literally disconnecting him from the UNSC.
Yeah.
And it was a poignant moment. And Pablo Schreiber's face, yeah, I believe that's Chief.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks right.
Yeah, because what I think of when I think like military and stuff is like completely clean shaven and like, yeah, I don't know like why I imagined it different where I just, because he's like, to be this super soldier, like they're trying to add a human element to him. But it's not how I pictured him as just this regular dude. Where I imagine that, if he's a super soldier that's gone through all this stuff, and like I just imagined him being like a blank slate. Well, because that's Master Chief in general himself, like the people who designed and made the games, that he's supposed to be a blank slate for the player to, fill the shoes.
That goes back to that argument of this is a TV show.
Yeah.
You have to have a character to relate to.
Yeah.
And you have to have these moments of humanity.
Yeah.
And the narrative of those first 3 Halo games is experienced by the player, not by the character of Master Chief.
Yeah.
And that's why he is this blank slate. And these games are made to make you feel like a badass. They're made for you to experience, this loss of Cortana and, you feel all of that, not Chief. And then in Halo 4 and 5, they just all of a sudden shoehorn in this, we're humanizing Chief all of a sudden. And you're like, who's the machine, me or you, Chief? And it's like, okay, I could enjoy this narrative, but it feels so disjointed from everything we've already played through because we experienced it. And now it feels like this character is being ripped out of us.
Yeah.
And that is why it's so important that this is a new timeline. This is its own thing, is that we can start this plot line right away with Chief. And I'm interested to see how it goes. I don't know if I would have had him defect from the UNSC in the first episode, but
yeah, that too.
We'll see how that plays out. I mean, he's got that key Forerunner artifact or whatever. It's probably going to lead him to the Halo, and he's going to find Guilty Spark, and then the Covenant's going to be like, the Halo, it's time to activate the thingy and kill everybody, and then Chief has to go, commando, and then that happens, and then I bet, man, I bet this is going to either halfway through the series or series finale, it will be the Fall of Reach.
Yeah. Because
this is before the Fall of Reach. When I watched it with my buddy Lewis, there's that one shot where it like pans up and it shows, the big tower of the UNSC and it says Reach. And Lewis just went, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to expect in future episodes of this because it's just thrown me for a loop.
Which is
where I barely know what's going on anyway.
Like I'm kind of enjoying that because it's so much better than if they just beat for beat did the CE or Halo Reach. Like I would have been bored and just been like, okay, I'm actually experiencing emotions through new characters and through established characters that now have this new layer added onto them in a new story that I don't know where it's going, and it has stakes, and there is tension. Book of Boba Fett. Whereas, Book of Boba Fett went everywhere you thought it would, disappointed you
nowhere at the same time.
Yeah, and disappointed you where you expected to be disappointed.
Yep.
Yeah, things happen that you expect to happen. Yeah, I peed my pants when Cad Bane showed up, but
for 30 seconds.
Yeah. And to an extent, a lot of the Marvel shows kind of went that same way, with, I think, the exception of WandaVision.
Yeah.
But, they did everything. I'm so numb to a lot of media at the moment.
That's how I felt for quite a while now. About 8 years, I think. Yeah.
Everything's doing the same thing. And not even that they're doing the same thing. They just go where you expect it to. And I don't know if that's part of growing up. Just sort of, having those rose-tinted glasses ripped away. And, there's, what is it? Like only 3 different stories that are ever told.
Yeah.
Just with different, layers on it. And yeah, like I'm probably going to know where this goes, but like, I don't 100% know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of
You're hopefully optimistic about it.
Yeah. Just what I said about Book of Boba Fett, like over and over and over again every Wednesday. Until it became The Mandalorian.
Until it ended and you're like, wait a minute. There's nothing.
It became The Mandalorian and I was like, see? And you were like, well, it's The Mandalorian now. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. And then it ended and I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. We still got Mando season 4 to look for. Oh, I mean, the Obi-Wan show to look forward to.
I'm cautiously optimistic for the Obi-Wan show, even though
that steam will run out eventually, and you'll be like me, and old and jaded and hate everything. It's fun to look forward to.
Man, I was always like, man, I've got Gremlins 1 and 2. That'll never be with. I was like, that's as perfect lightning in a bottle. They're never going to fuck with that again. I mean,
nope.
And then
if there's money to be made on a franchise, it'll be dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
Fun times we live in. But yeah, so ultimately on the whole, with the Halo show, I found myself mildly entertained.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I don't know if I'd continue watching it if it was me on my own.
Mm-hmm.
At least till maybe like the whole thing's done and like binge watch it.
Well, I'm going to make you watch it now. Well, yeah, we're going to do these videos. So now you have to.
Yeah, so if it wasn't for the sake of these videos, I probably wouldn't be watching it on my own. I'm along for the ride. Like we've established, I'm not that much invested to where you're not going to see me sitting here ranting and raving about how they did everything wrong. Thankfully.
Yeah.
For this one. But yeah.
It is refreshing with you.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. To me, having a blank slate, because I usually stick to what I know and what I'm invested in. So, yeah, this has been good for me to, like, revisit something, that I used to really like. But, yeah, I want to see where it goes.
It has me interested. I'm looking forward to Thursday.
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to Thursdays every week now. I know it's not going to reach the level the levels of the games for me.
Yeah.
Numero uno, I am a film guy. I love film. I love the art of film and television.
Yeah.
And I love how tightly you can tell a story with it.
Mm-hmm.
Video games are very different. So I would say I'm predisposed to film and TV.
Yeah.
But I do love video games. And there's very different, kinds of media.
It's completely, it's sculpting with clay and painting a painting. They're both completely different in terms of how they're made. Yeah. And
how the final
way
product
you present things,
the way you experience it yourself as
just the way you store, or even just between movies and books too. The way everything's presented, how you experience the story, the narrative.
That's probably why I'm predisposed to film and television, is because I'm a literature guy, and I love that shit.
Yeah,
and nothing can tell a story the way a book can tell a story.
Yeah,
television's close, but video games, it's very different. Because it's not about what's being told to you. It's about what you're experiencing. And there's so many different ways to do that. So I think there was potential for this show to mean more to me than the games. But with my nostalgia and how good those original games are, and what I've experienced this first episode, not that I was disappointed, it's just like, yeah, no, it's gonna be something I'll watch as it comes out and be excited about, and it'll end, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, that happened.
Best part about it is I get to watch it with my friend Joe, so that'll probably be the highlight of it for me. But yeah, no, so yeah, I'm along for the ride. I want to see where it goes. If I get to see more like innocent people being blown up with plasma grenades, that's hilarious to me. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, just not even kind of. That's like, yeah, my favorite part was when the whole room of innocent women, children, and babies was gunned down by...
No, it was the part after they were gunned down, and then their bodies are just perfectly like in this little pyramid hut thing where they're all laying perfectly on top of each other. It's like, how efficiently is that killer? I love that.
When we watched it with subtitles on, it said... sizzling. There's a steak.
No, I messed up to begin with just because like games like Grand Theft Auto and stuff with ragdoll physics and just running over people and watching their bodies flail about and stuff, that's funny to me. So yeah, you're just in the head. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like the action in it so far. Not too terribly invested in the story yet.
What would you rate this out of 5 stars?
Out of 5 stars?
Out of 10.
Out of 10. I'd probably go with a 6.5.
Yeah. I was going to say a 7.
Yeah.
It's better than mediocre.
Yeah.
I think.
But just barely.
Yeah. But it's not...
It held... Because I have really bad ADHD.
It held your attention, yeah.
Yeah, it held my attention enough. Yeah. Like, there was parts where I found myself... I'd reached into my phone or my pocket and grabbed my phone.
Yeah, every time you did that, I was like, I'm going to beat this.
Yeah, I couldn't help it, though, because it was the real slow parts, like when they first go into the cave and they're finding it, and it's just them walking through a cave for like 3 minutes.
It's just like some people running around a boardroom table.
And talking mumbo jumbo. Yeah. And I was just like...
That was one of the things. Is at one point, it's like, what's going on? And Cortana's like, it's a neural glitch caused by a power surge to his prefrontal cortex. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Do you disrespect me that much to say some shit like that?
Yeah, just say his brain no worky.
Yeah. Like, there are other things. They're like, at one point, Chief is like, open this panel and pull out these cables that go to this thing, and I have to pull out this cable at the same time, and he's just saying words that mean nothing. It's
and
like,
then she just shoots it, and then it miraculously works. It's like, are you kidding me?
That was fine to me, but they do the thing.
I hate stuff like that.
Where you hate stuff like that, but like you love Han Solo.
What do you mean?
The best scene in all of Star Wars? We're fine. Everything's fine down here. How are you? What's your operating number?
Well, yeah, they cut off communication. It didn't make something miraculously work by shooting.
No, that was the thing. They were cutting off the AI to the like autopilot. They were breaking something.
Oh, okay. I didn't get.
So now you like it?
Yeah, it's a bit more.
Well, I don't know.
Because there's still stuff in it like that where we talked about this too, where the Covenant first breaks into this facility, this camp, and you got dudes with mounted guns on top of this, and it's doing nothing. But then the second Chief picks one up, they're just falling left and right, and it's just stuff like that I notice, and I can't help but notice, and it takes me out.
There's some suspension of disbelief there for me.
Like I can only do it so much.
They could make up some shit like. Yeah, because Chief was getting shot too. And Chief has a shield too. Oh, maybe their shields were at lower battery from getting shot so much. Whatever. Yeah. Like, in the end, narratively, it all worked. It served a purpose.
Yeah.
I get it. Stuff like that, it's a movie. It's a show.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay.
I can't help it anymore.
That to me, like, isn't bad writing.
No.
It's just,
just little things I pick up
to
on.
the audience.
Yeah.
The bad writing is it was a neural glitch caused by power surge to his prefrontal cortex. Like,
He touched the thing.
Are you just saying like words and expect me to believe any of them?
Yeah, she's
like,
a scientist. She's supposed to talk like
it's
that,
like
right?
pseudoscience. It's like they have the scan of Chief, and it's like, wow, all this activity. It is a pineal gland and all these other things, and it's like that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
The things you're saying mean nothing. And then there's that general who's just like, what's going on? What's he doing? I think it's safe to say you don't know what he's doing. He's going to shoot at us. No, he's not. And it's like, shut the fuck up.
Move
and like,
on.
yeah. I would like the third time watching this. It was like the Monty Python.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Like I didn't. Like I got what was going on. It didn't hold up on rewatch.
Yeah,
that part. There was,
and
some
that's
fun,
the thing too. Is like I've only watched it the one time. I haven't rewatched it and had the benefit of going through that.
There was some fun direction in those scenes where it's bouncing back and forth between Keyes and Halsey and that general. I still can't remember her name. And then like the random people chiming in about, oh, this is happening, that's happening. And it's like, it feels like a war room where an event is happening.
And they're trying to build suspense and make us believe that Master Chief's going to go on a killing spree of all of them. But we know it's just not going to happen.
That seems like is causing so much stress and like should be this really tense moment. It's just like, Chief just said no to killing this girl on a plane. It's like,
and now they're having a mental breakdown about it.
It's like, okay, whatever. But ultimately, I don't think it affected the enjoyment I had of the show. And I think that is the number one thing. Like, it was entertaining.
Yeah. I want to see more action out of it. And
I hope that there is. And I think that was probably a calculated decision to only have, those really couple action scenes and then move on and establish.
But yeah, for future episodes, I hope that there's more of a focus.
If there's a Fall of Reach episode, I hope it's some like Saving Private Ryan shit. Just like, Band of Brothers, where they're like the battle sequences, there'll be like these oneers just following the soldier and figuring shit out and like going through just Chief ripping ass, just wait.
There's got to be a better way to say that.
Ripping and tearing. I know it's not a
wrong
good
series,
movie, but they're close enough.
Whoa!
But like just going through and tearing people apart and saving Marines and civilians, and I think that would be really entertaining. And I'm anxious to see how Cortana's handled here.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things.
Are we even going to see her?
Yeah, she was in the trailer.
Like they were. Oh, was she? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And there's that like chick in a pod that I think that's Cortana.
Oh, that's what they're basing Cortana on.
Yeah, because the whole thing is like Cortana is a clone of Halsey's brain. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm guessing they just cloned Halsey and like, Minority reported her. Stuck her in a tube and wires attached to her brain, so now she's a blue naked chick. Yeah. Cortana isn't naked in this, though.
I change everything I said. This whole series is dog shit.
Dude, never forget what they took from us. Halo 4 Cortana. Maybe. And
just have.
Yeah. Yeah, overall, I would give it a 7. It was entertaining. There's potential. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to be anything groundbreaking or spectacular, but it will be entertaining, and that is the most important part.
Just like the Sonic movie.
I think I'm going to like it more than Sonic.
Yeah.
I think so far...
That's just what I'm saying. It's going to be something that people are going to like it when it's out.
Yeah.
They're going to say it's good, and then 3 years from now, no one's going to remember that it even existed.
To me, this has more of its own voice than Sonic did.
Yeah.
Sonic, everything was derivative.
Doing a series, too, there's just so much more in depth you can go into.
Sonic, I enjoyed Sonic. I saw it opening day out of happenstance. I didn't intend to. It just happened. There's another thing I watched with Lewis. But everything in it had already been done.
Yeah.
In the ways it was done. Whereas here we have a very unique art style, and there's a lot more, I think, that can be memorable here.
Yeah, a lot of it looks great.
But yeah, I mean, if you guys agree with us, let us know. If you disagree
tell us
with
how
us,
absolutely wrong we are.
yeah, if you disagreed with us, don't. Don't. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you knew this, but I'm a gamer.
Okay. I mean, yeah, if you enjoyed us sitting and talking about this, let us know. Comment, like, subscribe, all your basic algorithm appeasing activities.
And let us know what you thought of the Halo show.
Yeah, I'm actually really enjoying the discourse around this right now. I could go to Reddit and read about it, but I don't hate myself. So, copy and paste your Reddit forums in the comments.
Oops.
If you enjoyed, we've got a Patreon. It's in the comments. We got cool perks on Discord. You can join our Discord for free. You're standing in front of the lights. You can join our Discord for free. We're in there all the time. There's tons of other cool shows on the Nostalgic Network. We've got Indie Spotlight. We got Adam opening up stuff, being cool. We've got toy stuff. We've got comic book stuff. Robert Hickey, he's been in the indie comics industry forever. So some really neat stuff. We got way more to come. And yeah, we'll see you next time. You stood up too early.
Did I?
Why are you T-posing?
Stand up, jeez.